The film opens with a scene of a peaceful and luxurious residential area, where a family appears perfect both materially and spiritually. The husband is Don, his wife is Mona, and they have 2 children, Allison and Andrew. But behind this seemingly perfect facade lies a suffocating atmosphere. In this family, Mona holds absolute power. Everything she says must be followed. The relationship between the couple is so rigid that everything in their lives must operate according to Mona's plan. Their days together lack the joy and intimacy of a normal family. Mona is also excessively obsessed with her children always winning, even if it means achieving it through unethical means. Any defiance or disobedience will be met with harsh punishment from her. As for Don, he gradually becomes disillusioned and weary of his current life, especially since Mona is often cold and refuses intimacy with her husband. An ambitious woman, Mona meticulously plans everything in her life, even scheduling time for marital relations. Despite his unhappiness, Don endures and accepts everything just to maintain family peace. In his career, Don owns a fairly large furniture store. However, this store was actually built with Mona's parents' money, meaning Mona is the true owner. One day, the store opens for new employees, and a girl named Dusty applies. From their first meeting, Don is attracted to Dusty. His colleague and sales associate, Les, also seems very interested and quickly advises Don to hire her. According to Les, they need something to look at work to forget their stressful marriage. Meanwhile, a mysterious man who has just killed someone is watching a television commercial for Don's furniture store. It turned out that he and his gang had started monitoring Don and Mona's activities and found their whereabouts. Meanwhile, Don continued to endure his monotonous days with his domineering wife. On the day the furniture store had a sale, it attracted many customers. Mona was very pleased with her husband. They went to their private room, and she said she would reward him, but it had to be scheduled. Not right now. This disappointed Don, and he tried to resolve the situation by looking at a picture of Dusty, adding to the excitement after covering up Mona and Les's pictures. Unexpectedly, Dusty overheard a small argument between Don and his wife. Knowing he had slept at the store the night before, she went to work earlier and hinted at what he was hoping for. Finally, Don couldn't resist and released his pent-up emotions by having an affair with Dusty. From then on, their relationship deepened and became more intimate. Meanwhile, Don and Mona's marriage grew colder than ever. Initially, things went smoothly for Don as he managed to conceal his affair from Mona. But then, at a family gathering, Dusty unexpectedly informed Don that she was pregnant with his child. This news completely stunned Don, as Dusty had previously claimed to have always taken birth control pills. Worse still, Dusty adamantly refused to have an abortion because she truly wanted the child, and repeatedly demanded that Don take responsibility. Not knowing what to do, Don sought Les's advice regarding Dusty's pregnancy. As many might expect, Les offered Don money in exchange for Dusty's silence and her disappearance from his life. In Les's eyes, girls like Dusty were nothing more than gold diggers who exploited and blackmailed successful men like Don. And indeed, this proved true. Dusty turned out to be Murphy's lover, the mysterious man who had appeared earlier. In reality, Murphy assigned Dusty the task of approaching wealthy men to extort money from them. But this time, it seems Dusty has genuinely developed feelings for her target. Finally, Don followed Les's advice and gave Dusty the money because his wife was tightly controlling all his finances. Together they only managed to gather $13,000 from their secret stash. Don told Dusty that he wanted to end the relationship completely and asked her never to see him again. But Dusty refused, feeling like she was being treated like a prostitute. At this point, Don began to panic. He worried that his mistake would destroy his family and cause him to lose his children. And most importantly, Mona might go insane if she knew the whole truth. Worse still, the blackmail didn't stop there. For Murphy, $13,000 was completely insufficient. He immediately pressured Dusty to demand more money from Don. This time a much larger sum, $25,000. The problem was, Don was now almost penniless, and Dusty continued to use the secret to corner him. With no other options left, Don finally decided to take the risk and confess the whole truth to his wife. He told Mona everything he had done behind her back. To Don's surprise, Mona was calmer than he expected. Instead of immediately flying into a rage, she simply asked if Don still loved her. Don quickly affirmed that he still loved his wife and children and was willing to do anything to atone for his mistakes. However, things were clearly not that simple. Soon after, Mona's true anger began to surface. She repeatedly reminded Don of everything she had done for him, from their current life to all the opportunities her family had given him. And it was from this point that Mona's terrifying dark side gradually revealed itself when she demanded that Don kill Dusty to end the blackmail. In Mona's mind, anyone who dared threaten or disrupt the integrity of her family had to die. Mona also didn't want anyone else to know about her husband's betrayal. She feared she wouldn't be able to live in the neighborhood if the matter came to light. Just then, Dusty called Dawn again and mentioned the $25,000. Mona immediately asked her husband to agree to the meeting. She then gave Dawn two options: divorce, meaning he would lose his wife and children, or follow her plan to kill Dusty. The next day, Mona continued to pressure her husband to carry out the plan before Dusty arrived at the office that evening to collect the money. She even prepared a high dose of sleeping pills to get rid of Dusty quickly. Mona also began to get angry at Dawn's cowardice and hesitation. She constantly urged him to stand up against those trying to destroy his family. With no other option, Dawn was forced to follow Mona's plan. That evening, Dusty arrived at the office to meet Dawn and receive the money as agreed. Dawn tried to act normal, saying he wanted one last drink with her before they parted ways. Then he poured some wine and offered it to Dusty. She drank it immediately without much thought. After a while, Dusty began to feel something was wrong with her body. She realized Dawn was acting very strangely, his eyes and demeanor tense. Soon, Dusty finally understood that she had been drugged. She tried to escape, but all the doors were locked. Before losing consciousness, Dusty wanted to tell Dawn the truth about Murphy, but it was too late. At that moment, Mona appeared and coldly ordered Dawn to put Dusty in the trunk of the car. When they returned home, Dawn was still unable to overcome his fear to continue with his next plan. Things became even more chaotic when he discovered Dusty was still alive. In stark contrast to her husband's panic, Mona laughed with amusement at everything that was happening before her eyes. She asked Dawn to get a hammer. He went and got it and gave it to his wife, but she insisted that he fix his mistake himself. Dawn, trembling, confessed he was completely incapable of doing it. Finally, Mona asked her husband to open the trunk so she could handle everything herself. Then Dusty's body was placed on a table in the garage, where Mona calmly and skillfully began the dismemberment process. Unable to bear the horrific sight, Dawn immediately ran to the bathroom and vomited violently. He was completely devastated and helpless in the face of what was happening. Meanwhile, Murphy began to suspect something was wrong when Dusty disappeared without a trace. The next day, Murphy and his gang went to the furniture store and, taking advantage of Les opening the door drunk, stormed inside to search for Dusty. A short time later, Dawn arrived at the store and found the police already there. Les was lucky to only be injured and had a few valuables stolen. The police informed Dawn that his office had been ransacked but everything was fine. They then asked him about Dusty, who was currently missing, and mentioned they had found a burned-out car, which Dawn confirmed belonged to her. However, the police revealed it was registered to someone outside of town. After the police left, Dawn called Mona and complained about why they hadn't sunk Dusty's car in the lake instead of burning it. He returned home after work and was horrified to find Murphy talking to his son right outside the door. Fearing the boy might be kidnapped, Dawn rushed downstairs. Luckily, Murphy only wanted to send him a message. He arranged to meet Dawn at a strip club, along with a family photo as a threat. Dawn told his wife about this, and she didn't seem worried, as if she already had a plan in mind. As arranged, Dawn went to the strip club to meet Murphy and his accomplices. He had a scare before talking to them. Murphy asked Dawn about Dusty's whereabouts. Dawn tried to remain calm and lied, saying he had given Dusty the money. As for where she had gone, he had no idea. He insisted Dusty had taken the money. Murphy demanded Dawn give him $25,000 the next day, or he would harm Dawn's wife and children. Dawn went to meet his wife, who was waiting across the street. He recounted everything, saying they had to give money to the thugs or she and their child would be harmed. But Mona remained confident, jokingly asking if they intended to harm them all at once or one by one. Then she told her husband they had to dig Dusty's body up again before going to the thug's house. She had devised a plan to deal with them all. Upon arriving, Mona immediately broke into Murphy and his gang's house while Dawn stayed outside in the car keeping watch. Mona opened the freezer and quietly placed something inside. Just then, one of the gang members, named Freeman, returned with a call girl. Dawn wanted to warn his wife, but she had left her phone in the car. Despite this, Mona showed no fear at all knowing someone had returned. Taking advantage of Freeman and the girl's lingering intimacy, Mona prepared a knife. Because they had just been smoked, they were too disoriented to distinguish anything suspicious. She easily stabbed Freeman with a knife, then turned and impaled the other woman with a katana. Once her plan was complete, Mona went to her car, called the police, and asked her husband to come home to shower. After they left the scene, Freeman, still barely alive, immediately called Murphy to report what had happened. Upon hearing the news, He and another henchman returned and were stunned by the chaotic scene inside the house. He also discovered that what Mona had placed in the refrigerator were parts of Dusty's body, including a head. At this point, Murphy realized he had been framed, as all the evidence for the murder now pointed to him. Just then, the police arrived, and Murphy's henchman was shot dead as soon as he stepped out. Freeman, however, remained calmer, using a secret door to successfully escape downstairs. The next day, the police came to Don's house to inform him of Dusty's death. They said they had apprehended several suspects, but one was still at large. However, what stressed Don the most was that someone had seen him at Dusty's house. With no other option, Don had to confess to the police that he had been having an affair with her. He also explained that Dusty's boyfriend, Murphy, had used it to blackmail him, threatening to tell Mona if he didn't comply. The officer, understanding Don's predicament, joked that he didn't want to see another body if Mona found out. Just then, the neighbor's dog unexpectedly ran into the garage, instantly enraging Mona. She warned the neighbor that if they saw the dog in their yard again, the consequences would be dire. One night, after everything that had happened, Don became curious about his wife's past. He suspected that Mona might have experienced some kind of trauma or psychological shock in her childhood. Initially, she burst into tears, insisting that her parents were perfect and had never hurt her. Then she threatened Don, saying that if he dared ask the question again, she would kill and dismember him just as she had done to Dusty. After this threat, Don began living in a state of fear and anxiety. He now feared not only the police discovering the truth but also his own wife, the one he shared the same roof with. Meanwhile, Mona's madness was escalating. She even began wanting to get rid of Les's son, the boy who was large and consistently beat Andrew in every game. The next day, on the boy's birthday, Don went inside to get something and discovered Mona had stuffed the neighbor's dog into the refrigerator. Outside, everyone was happily watching the competition between Andrew and Les's son. But seeing her own son constantly being outmatched, Mona began to lose her temper. She felt it was unfair, believing Les's son had used steroids to achieve his superior physique. Meanwhile, Allison, seeing her brother's helplessness, stepped forward, grabbed a stick, and smashed the unicorn, helping him finish the game. Her reaction was exactly like her mother's, causing Don great concern. He then made a decision and acted on it. Because if things continued like this, Allison would become more and more like Mona. Don modified the garage lights so that they would short-circuit and create sparks every time he flipped the switch. After carefully testing to ensure the plan worked, he opened the gas valve, allowing the gas to flood the garage. Then, pretending everything was normal, Don asked Mona to go into the garage to get the beef from the refrigerator while he went out to check the oven. Without a moment's suspicion, Mona complied, and Don hurriedly left, trying to act as if nothing had happened. Mona opened the garage door and switched on the lights, causing a short circuit and sparks. In an instant, the entire place exploded violently, killing Mona. After all this, Don had moved into a new house with his children, enjoying the entire inheritance Mona left behind. The lives of the three of them finally became much more comfortable and peaceful than before. No more of Mona's suffocating rules, and no more fear that she might go berserk and kill someone at any moment. It seemed as though all the tragedy had truly ended. However, Murphy hasn't been caught yet, and he's secretly watching the father and his two sons. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.